Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to make a quick video about how to make the most money selling your modified Subaru WRX or STI or any modified car, but specifically for the Subaru platform. As you can see, my WRX is not the way it looked before. It's actually been brought down pretty much to stock, and I want to talk about why I did that, and why you should do that, or why you should consider doing that, and why maybe keeping all the parts in your car and selling it as is will net you a smaller amount of money. With that said, there are some negatives and downsides to parting your car out and costs, and I can speak from experience, and I'll talk about that. It actually cost me over $1,000 to take the car back to stock. In this video, we're going to kind of discuss all those principles, and hopefully I can help you decide what to do, or if you have a modified WRX or STI, or you're thinking about getting one, or modifying your WRX or STI, I'm at least going to give you some information about what the end game actually looks like, because I think that's an important part of the ownership of these cars, because I think they are transitional cars. Like, this is what gets you into this space. This is like a car that allows you to figure out what you want in a sports car and what you want in a car, and whether or not you want to be part of this, this space and community. So I actually, I am selling my WRX, or I have sold, there's a buyer imminently coming to pick this up. It's pretty much sold, but I spent about 3 months trying to sell it as is, because I really didn't want to go through the process of taking it all apart and having a YouTube channel. I didn't want to expose myself too much to the community, so I can stay semi-anonymous, but at this point that's pretty much out the door, because I did end up parting it out, and that's because I had such a hard time finding somebody that wanted to basically buy it as is and pay a much lower rate. I actually, I'll give you a quick summation. I was Bren tuned, Stage 2 Plus, so it was turbo back exhaust, intake, electronic boost control solenoid, cob access port, wheels, everything in the exterior. If you follow the channel, check out the other videos if you want to see the full build. At the end of the video, actually, let's pause right now. I'll run the intro video so you guys can see what it looked like fully built. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So, lots done to the car. And basically the way I looked at it, was, I knew that if I parted out the car, I probably could get 60 to 70% of the value of the parts back from what they cost new by selling them used. But that didn't include the time it would take me or any costs that I would incur taking those parts off the car. So I actually made the decision that it wasn't even worth my time. I would price the car exactly what it would be in trade-in, and then ask for 40% of the used part, or 40% of the parts value, which is actually a ridiculously good deal. But what I kept finding after months and months and months, that the people that are looking for modified and tuned vehicles are typically people that don't know a lot about the platform and they're coming into it, or they're people that know a lot about the platform and they already want to do many different things to the car, so a lot of those mods don't have value. And where it all boiled down to was, I was getting, for $5,000, $4,000 worth of parts, I was getting maybe $600 on top of the value of the car, because they already wanted to negotiate down the car, and it was basically hurting me. So this is something you see all the time. There's plenty of there's plenty of negative if you try to poster your modified car and you don't price it aggressively. A lot of people will say, mods don't add value to the car, all these things, blah blah blah. But the reality is, it is the truth, and you need to part out your car if you want to make the most money out of your car and recoup the most amount of money out of the things that you've spent money on. The shorter answer of it is, if you're planning on selling or trading in your modified car, you do need to spend the time, budget the time to strip it down to stock. Post your part out list early so you can get people lined up. Parts will go very quickly. I think I sold almost everything on this car minus the intake and the catback within 24 or 48 hours of posting the part out. People ended up paying about 70% of the price of the parts new, so I did take out a lot of money on the car, and I overall came out way ahead of what I would have been if I was selling it as is. The downside is that the tune just disappears, like that no longer adds value. Same with the brakes. The carbon fiber duct bill's still on there, and all the little emblems and stuff, because that's not worth taking off. So yeah, I did go through a kind of a big negative. I do live in New England. I live in the Boston area. I spent about 2 years with the J-pipe, the turbo back exhaust on, and I actually broke, I had somebody take the turbo back exhaust off because I was worried about breaking studs, turbo studs. Turns out 3 of them broke during that process. It actually cost me quite a lot of money, $625 in fact, to get that exhaust removed and the stock one put back on. I actually also had Bren Tuning take off the electronic boost control solenoid and the turbo and the intake, just because, well, the intake I could have done, but I couldn't have gotten the car to Bren Tuning with the intake off, so it was a little bit of a catch-22. So I had them do the solenoid because they actually took the solenoid when I first had the solenoid put on, so I didn't have a stock solenoid, and Subaru was like months out for a stock solenoid, so my arm was kind of twisted, and it's really hard to install if you don't have a lift and you live on a driveway that's like angled, as you can tell by the orientation of the car. The short answer is that also cost $450. So it did cost me just over $1,000 to take a lot of the performance parts off. So basically a couple of those parts basically went away for free. I didn't get the money back, but overall I did end up on top and better off than if I had sold the car as is, modified, and I just wasn't having any luck doing that. And we're talking about a car where people know the history of it, you know, and they trust the person that's selling it. If you're in a position where you can't document the history, you don't necessarily have a YouTube channel that backs everything that's ever happened to the car and a complete history of it, I'm sure it would be even harder for you to get a decent price for your car. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You learned a little bit more about how to make the most money off your tuned or modified car if you're selling it. It's pretty straightforward. Part it out. Put a part out list on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, join Facebook. That's where you're going to get the most money. It's going to be worth your time, literally dollars in your pocket, to be on Facebook and to do a part out on Facebook. Do expect to ship some of the smaller stuff. You will find that, you know, parts are few and far between right now, and people are willing to pay for shipping, and they pay almost new prices just to be able to get the part right away. There's a lot of people in situations where they really need a part and they can't get it right now, so it is something to think about. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video.